It's Friday, November 9th, Saturday, November 10th, if you're on the East Coast or across the pond. And this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. Hope you had a great day at night. I am your host, Dave Scott, broadcasting to you live from the Great White North on top of the snowy mountains of central British Columbia, right here at SOR headquarters. We welcome you nightly on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio. If you want to check out our archives, we keep them free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot. Soon shop at our brand new Spaced Out Radio store, read up on the SOR Newswire, and so much more. Tonight's show is brought to you by the YouTube channel Ensuho. Sebastian Martin brings high-quality messages to the masses. Go to spacedoutradio.com, click on the Ensuho banner, and subscribe to the channel today. You know, I have to admit here that ever since the whole To the Stars thing came out about a year ago, whether you like it or not, it really did change the field of ufology. For the good? Well, that I'm not sure of. But what I can tell you is I used to be quite excited about bringing on UFO researchers, talking about what they've discovered. Now, though, the excitement is still there, but it's changed a little bit. And are these videos of orb-like lights in the sky relevant after what has come out with To the Stars? Tonight, though, we have a real interesting UFO show planned. Over in the United Kingdom, Richard Lennie is putting his years of research out there regarding alien craft, abduction, and contact. The entire kingdom has had its fair share of sightings throughout history, with the most famous being Rendlesham, now becoming a television series. For more than 3 decades, Richard has studied these phenomena to become one of the most premier researchers in ufology across the pond. And tonight, he's going to share his research with us. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, Olaf Phillips will be back from Paranoia Magazine with another edition of the SOR News Wire. Mr. Richard Lennie, I know it's 5 o'clock in the morning over where you are. You had an early alarm clock, early wake-up time, but we thank you over here in North America for taking the time to be with us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. It's great to be with you, and it's good to be on your show. I'm really happy to be here.
We're glad to have you here as well. 3 decades, 30 years, my friend, you have been studying UFOs. I got to ask, what got you into this field?
God, it's been like long. Yeah, I suppose it has. Well, it all started for me, I suppose, back in 1980, December. You mentioning Rendlesham. I saw 7 red balls of light in the sky, and they were in my village, an Uphill, which is basically a little town near Bristol. And they were coming over my school, my old primary school. And I just come home from work. It was about 6 o'clock in the evening, and I noticed them because they were in like a curve shaped, and they were red. They weren't white. So I thought, well, they can't be planes, and they're coming closer. They're not going away. So I stood there and watched them for a while, and they came closer and closer. And then they stopped above my school, about 200 feet above. I did notice at this point, that time of the evening, it should have been quite busy in my village, but there was no one else around. And then all of a sudden, my friend came around the corner. He came from town, and he was asking me what I was doing, and I showed him, and he watched with me. And the outer 2 ones, they moved up, and they went into a semicircle, then came back down into the other light formation, and then they shot over our heads. And as they shot over, as I looked, it all seemed to be connected. Anyway, that was basically the start of it. Before then, obviously, I was into the books, because back then we had those books, I don't know if you remember them, with the old photographs of lights above the White House and stuff like that, you know, and we could get those out of the library and stuff. But I mean, we didn't have any internet back then, so that's all we had really was books and movies, and that was it, you know. And all you were trying to do is look at the photographs of supposedly what was strange craft from another world, and then you'd see these movies on TV like The Day the Earth Stood Still and War of the Worlds and so on, and you were trying to connect the two together. And then for the first time, I saw these things, and I couldn't explain what they were, and nor could my friend. And when we got home, I was only literally 30 seconds away from my house. My gran told me that I'd been late and my tea was ruined and stuff. Now, back then, we didn't know anything about time missing and stuff like that. So, and to this day, I don't really know exactly how much time I lost, but I know that whole thing didn't really last more than about 10 minutes for me and my friends. So that was really the start of it, Dave. And then it all went from there, basically. Then I kept looking up at the sky and checking out, for things. And then the time went on. I saw a few other crazy stuff. I wasn't sure what it was. Maybe they were satellites, maybe they weren't. And then along came the internet. And then, of course, it all basically took off from there. But before that, I was going out, I was talking to other people that said they'd seen strange stuff. So I was doing my own research, even in the early days. But I wasn't really sure what I was doing. I was just putting my feelers out there, trying to find out if anyone else had seen these craft apart from my friend and me. And then I noticed that there were other people in the area that had seen stuff. And those 7 lights that I saw, the following weekend, on the Friday, in the Mercury, we had a magazine called The Mercury, it came out that in the village, a lot of people saw them, but they only saw one. Whereas Glenn and me, my friend, we saw all 7, which I thought was quite interesting. So what must have happened after we saw them, they must have split up, and one must have stayed around Western-super-Mare, and then the other 6 must have flown off somewhere else. But I can remember it being around about the same time as the Rendlesham Forest, which of course was also a red light. So whether they were connected or not, I'll never know, obviously. They may have been, they may not have been. But that's where it all really started for me.
Wow. When you were a kid seeing these lights, who did you go to? And were you worried that people were going to say, "Oh, it's just your imagination. You're making up stories"? I mean, the way our parents and our grandparents always used to be with us, or anybody of authority.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I did tell this story to many people, and they just laughed at it and said, "Oh, you just saw planes or balloons." That's it. That was what they said. They said it was probably, if it wasn't planes, it was probably an airship or a balloon. And I'm thinking, well, why would an airship be coming over my school, And a balloon, no, it wasn't a balloon, definitely not. Not from the way the outer 2 moved up and did a semicircle, came back down into formation. No, that was a genuine, unidentified flying object or objects. And but anyway, I continued to investigate and I'd go out in the evenings, with my binoculars and stuff like that. And then around about the 90s, I suppose it would have been around about early 90s, I started hearing this rumbling sound. Now, we hear about this today. Well, I'm going back I would say probably late 80s. Yeah, I'd say probably 88, 89. I'll be at home drawing, and then all of a sudden, I'd hear like thunder in the distance, but it would keep on rumbling and rumbling and rumbling. This thing would go on for minutes, and I can remember putting the tips of my fingers to the window pane of my house, and I could feel the vibration of this noise. And I lived near the coast, and I went out to my back garden, and it sounded like it was coming over from the beach, so it was coming from the sea. So I ran down, because I literally lived about 30 seconds away from the beach, so I could make that quite easily. And I ran down to the beach. It was dark, and it did get louder. And I could feel it, and I could almost feel the vibrations under my feet, and then it would just slowly go away. Now, this would continue on and off, probably, I would say, for the next 10 years, something like that. So there we have the rumblings that we still get today, although at the moment it seems to have petered off a bit. People are, saying around the world that they're hearing these strange noises in the sky and stuff like that. They don't know where it's coming from. Now, I remember, again, being in the local paper in the Mercury, somebody wrote an article about this noise, and they said it was from the air conditioning units from a new building that had just been built, probably about 4 to 5 miles away from where I lived. But I thought, no way. Because next time I heard it, I went to that sort of area, and it was going quieter, if anything. So it was definitely coming, for me anyway, it sounded like it was coming from the sea. So I had that going on as well. And then that all sort of petered off probably around about the late 90s, I'd say. And then I didn't hear it anymore. And then we're coming into the 21st century. So we're getting the internet, that's shooting up. I suppose it would have been about 1994, 1995, when I phoned up Nick Pope for the very first time, who's obviously worked for the Ministry of Defence back then. And I got through to him, phoned him up, found his number, got through. He was really nice to me on the phone. I told him about my experience that I just told you with the lights and also the rumblings, and he had a lot of time for me. And he said the lights was interesting, and he wrote everything down, and he said he'd try and see if he could find out a bit more for me. Well, years later, I met Nick, and we've been very good friends ever since, and we converse backwards, forwards with emails and stuff. But he said that experience that I saw back in Christmas time in 1980, a lot of other people around the UK also saw the same sort of thing. So I reckon those 7 craft flew off and they went all over the country. One stayed in Western, the others flew around different parts of the country. And I think one of them could have been Rendlesham. But there you go, we'll never know for certain. But so then after phoning up Nick Pope, which would have been about 94, 95, I was continuing my research, reading books. Obviously the books were getting better, photographs were getting better. The moon stuff was coming along, anomalies on the moon and all that. And I was getting interested into that as well. And then as soon as it hit the 21st century and then we got the internet properly, I then obviously took off from there. And the rest is history. I contacted Ed Grimsley, who I discovered on the internet. And I found out he was seeing these craft through night vision. And I thought, wow, maybe this is what I need. Because at the moment, all I'm using are binoculars. And, I don't know whether they're unidentified objects or whether they're just normal craft. If I can find something that's cloaked, something that's acting mysteriously and strangely, then obviously I'm going to know for certain that we're not alone out there. So, after talking to him for a couple of hours on the phone and getting friendly with the guy, he told me what to buy. I went and got them. And then it all opened up for me. I started seeing craft all the time. I was out from 10 o'clock at night till 7 o'clock the next morning in the winter. I was out all night doing sky watches when I was younger. And Dave, the stuff I saw, you wouldn't believe. Discs the size of football pitches, flying over my house in groups of threes, 3 going over. And then I'd wait 45, 50 minutes later, they'd come over again, another group of 3. And then about half an hour later, another group of 3 went over, going north. I assume they were going to, I don't know, but I assume they were going to the North Pole or that region. And I'd see stuff like deep in space. We could just manage to capture it with the night visions, and there'd be like crazy stuff like moving around, and then they'd stop. And then they'd stay in and pretend to be a star for like half an hour. I'd be there, waiting for it to move, because I knew if I moved my night visions, I'd miss it, because it just looked like a star, And then all of a sudden, the thing would just bug on out, and it would fly off. And it looked like it was chasing something. I mean, this is the other thing it reminded me of, was dogfighting. A lot of the times, I think that's what I am observing. I'm observing dogfights, I think that we have craft up there. They have craft up there, and it looks like basically they're just, pirouetting with each other and chasing each other around skies and around space. And unwanted ones, I suppose, they try and get rid of, and occasionally they will fire upon another one. I haven't seen one explode, but I have seen lasers come out of them. I have seen them fire. Ed's actually got a video, or he did have a video of one exploding, but unfortunately Ed's passed away now, and he never got to show me it. But he actually did come over to the UK. He stayed with me for 8 days. He brought all his equipment over, all his night visions, and I took him to Stonehenge, and we had sky watches, and we went outside, and I was comparing all the different generations, and the differences between generation 2 to generation 4, was immense. And of course, if you got the better generations, you can see further out. And if you can see further out and clearer, then obviously you're going to see more. And it just opened up a whole new, level of observing craft that I've never had before. So once I was doing that, I then got into TV and radio, because I started obviously putting stuff on the internet. I made a Facebook page. People started noticing me, and then Richard D. Hall, who's a UK guy, ufologist, he got me on his TV show, and we did a talk together. And then in the car park afterwards, a chap called me over, and he said, look, I've got this lady down in Devon near Cornwall, and she's seeing loads of stuff. She's seeing extraterrestrial activity in her garden. She's seeing craft flying over, seeing triangle craft, disc-shaped craft. At the weekends, they land in a field. She's got 100 acres of land, so of course they can do whatever they want. And he said, look, she's been going up to these UFO expo places in Leeds, and she's getting no answers. She's in her 60s. Would you give her a ring and talk to her? Maybe you can help her, because she's at her wit's end. She doesn't know what to do. So I phoned her, spoke to her on the phone for a couple of hours. She sounded really together. She didn't sound, she was wacky or anything like that. And she had a lot of video footage. She had a lot to tell me. So I said, look, the only thing I can do is get my equipment, come down, spend the weekend there, and I'll do a recce and see what we can find. And that's exactly what I did. She met me at the station, went down there. And boy, Dave, that's where I found, that's where I got disclosure, for me anyway, personally for me. Because up until this point, I was seeing stuff flying around in the sky. I was seeing lights I couldn't explain, but that's all I was seeing. I wasn't really seeing anything else. And I had obviously heard of stories of people being abducted, and I read stories about people being abducted, and the Rendlesham Forest incident. But it wasn't until I went down to Devon, it wasn't until I saw this lady and stayed there the weekend, that I actually got confirmation that it's not the government doing it. It is something else. It is something from another world. And that's obviously where my whole life then changed. I looked upon life in a completely different way. And I went back from there with a new insight of what I had to do. And that's what started me then doing my PowerPoints. I'd go around the country doing talks, telling them what I'd seen down in Devon, what I'd seen through my night visions, and trying to get the truth out there. And that's exactly what I did. And then, of course, I went from that to going on more radio shows, telling people what I'd seen. And this is what I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to tell you guys what I saw down in Devon and what went from there, basically, if that's okay with you.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, continue on. What happened at Devon?
Okay. So, basically... Just so you know, before we start, we got about 3 minutes before we got to go to break. Okay. Well, just to get into the Devon part of it, what happened was when I got down there, I took my night visions with me. I took camcorders, basically my equipment, and it was daytime, and I had a recce of the place. I walked around. She had this very big house. It was all basically, you couldn't see it from the road. She had these high, sort of like wooded fences going all the way around. Until you opened the door to go into a driveway, you couldn't even see what the property looked like. And like I said, she had 100 acres of land. It just went on and on and on. And that's when I thought straight away, okay, there could be something here, because if they are coming down, they are landing, they are doing stuff, then no one's going to see them. You know, they're going to be able to do whatever they want, and they got loads of fields to do it in. So it all looked promising from the very start, let's put it that way, for me anyway. I was still a bit skeptical about it, of course, you know, because on the way to her property, when she met me from the station, she was telling me about all these things. You know, she'd be in a parking lot and the triangle craft would come over. She'd video it. She'd go back home. She'd put the video in, and she wouldn't be in the car with the camcorder pointing up at the triangle craft. She'd be in the triangle craft with the camera pointing down about 1,000 feet up. So unless you've got a helicopter, right, or something like that, how can you fake that? I mean, and this woman is 67 years of age. So she goes, Rich, I'll show you the video. You know, you'll see it all. I'm thinking, okay. Unless it's a good CGI fake, I'm thinking this is good. So, but yeah, so I took a look around the property, and she showed me actually the trees. When they land at the weekends, they take a lot of the bark off the trees, but all the bark goes. The trees, some of her trees were just white. There wasn't one bit of bark on them. They were just literally white. I'd never seen anything like it. There were burn marks on the ground. There was also an area where she said when they land, they've got like the undercarriage goes underneath the grass, underneath the earth, and it cups together and then pulls back up over. And she said that's how they grip. And you can see where they've gone down and come back up. And you can see where the grass, there's like gaps in the grass. I mean, it's impossible to fake, you know, it's just, you can see something had landed there. And I was measuring it, and it was like, I don't know, 500 foot, you know, by 250 foot. It was crazy, you know. And the grass had all been discolored and where it landed and stuff like that.
Hey, I got a question for you. The lady who was in the black triangle, we only got about 30 seconds here. Did you ever see the photos that she took from inside the craft looking down?
Not photos, no. I've seen the video that she took.
The video. What's that look like? Kind of trippy.
Amazing. Yeah, the top of Morrison's, the roof. It's like a dealership that they sell like all fruit and stuff, you know. I mean, everything's like small. I mean, she's got to be about 1,000 feet up, I reckon.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Richard, hold on 1 second here. We're going to go to break here on Spaced Out Radio. Richard Lennie is our guest. UFOs in the UK. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio coming up right after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. We are talking UFOs in the United Kingdom. Our guest tonight, premier researcher of the last 3 decades over in the UK, Richard Lennie. Richard, welcome back, and thank you for the early wake-up call to join us.
Okay, thank you for having me back. It's good to be back again. All right.
Very, very intriguing, man. Very intriguing. And, you know, right before the break, you were talking about this amazing video of this lady who actually caught a video of being taken, and she's filming downward.
Yeah.
Has this lady ever come out publicly with this?
No, she hasn't. No, it's something that she keeps to herself. She only tells select few people that she trusts. And even though it's a video of her looking down, she says she wasn't looking down. She was looking up, and she was in the car. She doesn't remember being taken. She doesn't remember being in the craft. She doesn't remember any of that. But the video obviously proves different. So one can only assume that, well, that triangle craft went over, they took her up to show her what they can do. And, you know, and I suppose unless she goes under regression, she's not going to know. She's just going to assume that she was in the car and that was it. But the video obviously shows something completely different. And she was surprised when she saw it herself for the first time. She had her driver in the car. He didn't go with her up in the craft. He stayed in the car, but he doesn't remember her leaving the car either. So the whole thing is really bizarre. She's in the car looking up. She saw the craft. She takes the video of the craft, and it hovers above them. She says, "I'm not getting out of the car until it's gone." And then it flies off, and then she goes and does her shopping, gets back in the car, goes home, puts the video in, watches it back on a big TV screen, and she is not in the car. She's what looks like in the entrance to this triangle craft, which is black, or very dark, sort of browny grey. And you can see a hand holding on to what looks like a bar. It's a black bar. And her other hand's got the camcorder, and then the camcorder is obviously showing her hand, and then she moves the camcorder down, and then you can see the top of Morrison's, basically, which is one of our big stores here in the UK. And you see the roof, you can see the car park, all the cars. Everybody looks like ants because they're so small. So from what I can say, I would say she was probably about 900 to 1,000 feet up. So that was amazing. Yeah. And
how do we know that just isn't a drone footage, man? How do we know that it's the real thing?
Yeah, I mean, I did think that myself as well. I did think, well, could it possibly be some sort of a drone, you know? But at the beginning of the video, you can see she's actually in this thing that's holding her up, and then she moves the camera down, so it all sort of part of it. But yeah, I mean, it didn't scream out drone to me. I've seen stuff with drones, and this looked completely different. It had no drone about it. What year would this been? This would have been 2012. So drones weren't really in the shops over in the UK in 2012. You couldn't buy a drone, you know, like you can now. So if she wanted a drone, she'd have probably had to have got it from abroad. And yeah, And I didn't see any drones in her house or anything like that. And I don't think she was that sort of minded, if that makes sense. I don't think she would have knew how to operate them anyway. She, it took her ages just to find out how to work a camcorder. So, so she told me anyway. She's not really that sort of minded mechanically. But you need to see the footage, obviously. You have to see the footage. But it didn't scream drone to me at all. So
moving on here, throughout history, I mean, the United Kingdom is well over 1,000 years old. The empire has been around, lack of a better term, almost forever and a day. When you started looking back at this 30 years ago, how important has the history of UFOs, not just the recent history from the World Wars and Foo Fighters and moving forward to Rendlesham and so on, but have you ever stopped and looked at the history regarding the entire UFO phenomena in the UK?
I have Googled that and I have checked it out. And surprisingly, we're a hotspot for UFOs. Crashed UFOs. Back in the 70s in Wales, there was supposedly a crashed UFO that happened and the army were involved. We have what's called ley lines that go across part of the country. And these help to show these anomalies. And when I got back from Devon, I got a map maker to check it out for me. And he said that the Michael and Mary ley lines, they're the biggest ones, actually run straight through this lady's house. And they go on and they end up at Stonehenge. So that, I think, helps. The fact that they go straight through her property. That obviously helps to, show everything up a bit more. So, but yeah, these definitely show up a lot of craft, and UK is covered, I think, with ley lines and mysterious stones and crop circles. We're forever getting those. It is a hotspot for all sorts of strange craft. USOs as well, because of most of the UFOs I've discovered are actually submersible. They go under the water. Right. I know a lot of people who are in the military and they live near lakes and stuff like that, and they said they see them coming in and out of them all the time, and they wait for them to come back out and they don't seem to ever come back out, and then they'll just shoot back up again. I remember Ed Grimsley telling me he saw one go in, one go out at the same time, which is pretty rare. But yeah, they seem to like the UK a lot. So
what do you think the attraction to Stonehenge is? Because there's so much mystery around that. Nobody knows who made it. Nobody knows why they're there. I mean, we can all assume little bits and pieces of it, but it seems to be a real hotbed, almost like some sort of navigational chart for a plethora of UFO sightings annually.
That's right, yeah. When I actually took Ed Grimsley to the site, we had a good look around, and yeah, it was a weird day, actually. We saw an old biplane go over, which was quite odd, but didn't see any UFOs as such. But I know Wyn Keach, he actually caught a craft landing in the evening over there at one point, which I believe he's got footage of. But they seem to attract, don't they, these anomalies, these craft. They have some sort of an energy, like the ley lines. I think they act like that, but they're in a different way. And I think, I don't know whether it's just some sort of a symbol that they used back in the old days, for a landing site or something like that, or it meant something nearby. Because I know that the stones from Stonehenge, actually a lot of those stones, or most of them, came from Wales. Now, how the hell did they get them all the way from Wales over to the UK? Because back in those days, they didn't have the transport or anything, and those stones are really heavy. So it makes you wonder how they were able to bring them over like that. But they did, and obviously, there is another set of stones, apparently, that's nearby. They've just discovered a smaller version of Stonehenge. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. But I think we've got a lot of them. I think as time goes on, I think we'll unearth even more. I think they're dotted all over the place, to be honest with you. All versions like Stonehenge.
Do you think they are some sort of alien navigation chart?
They could be, yeah, like the pyramids maybe, or something like that. Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility, you know. They seem to attract them. So I know a lot of ufologists have got craft, you know, they've caught craft on their cameras coming down in the vicinity of these stones. So they've got to have something to do with it. There's got to be, you know, some sort of an energy field there, like with the ley lines that attracts them. But why and what the reasons? It's hard to say at this moment. But yeah, and of course, right by where Stonehenge is, we get a lot of crop circles as well. And literally, there's a field opposite. There's a road that intersects between the two, and there's this big field opposite on the other side of Stonehenge, and we always get crop circles there, and they literally just appear. 1 minute there's no crop circle, and the next minute there is. So, yeah, I don't know. I think it's all connected, to be honest with you.
There is such a divide in the crop circle world of what they actually are. Do you believe they are some sort of extraterrestrial phenomena or some sort of earthly phenomena?
That's true, there wasn't there? I did do some research into this, and obviously some of them are man-made, we know that, and very poorly done. But yeah, there are some that there's no way a man could make them. I mean, the way the nodes are bent over and then fused together, they try to, replicate it in a microwave, and they sort of did, but yeah, basically, there's no way anything could have done that, not even from the Earth, to be honest with you. And these things, they just appear, literally. I mean, a plane went over, I think it was delivering mail going back a few years ago, over Stonehenge, this field I'm actually talking about. And 20 minutes later, he flew back the other way, and he said there was a crop circle there. But it wasn't there when they flew over 20 minutes earlier. And this thing was huge. It was big. So, I don't know. I thought to begin with it could be something to do with our planet, but I can't really see how the Earth could make such complex patterns like that, you know? And how the nodes all bent over and they are intertwined and you know, I don't know. I just don't see how the Earth could do that. It had to be something physical in a certain point, like, I don't know, some sort of a plasma. You know, it had to be something physical touching it to be able to move it into that position. So I think there's more to it than earthly vibes, if you like.
Well, let's get into the more recent history because, you know, when you, at least for us over here in North America, when we think UFOs in the United Kingdom, we immediately think Rendlesham. And the 1980s case there where the craft was literally on the ground at a military base. And there's still a lot of controversy around that. You've talked to Nick Pope. You've interviewed people there. You've been around this medium for the last 30 years. How important is Rendlesham today comparatively to when it happened?
Yeah, I believe it is very important. And I just noticed, actually, they're doing, like you said, a series on there or something, or doing a documentary on it again. And there's new information, isn't there, I believe? Something new come to light, and they're revisiting it. I know Nick Pope was really involved in it at one point before he moved to America. And he actually said to me, you know, there was definitely something more to it, Rich, than just, you know, lights in the sky. Because the guy that went out there to check it out, I think his name was Holt, wasn't it? He actually went out there not believing, and of course he came back believing because what he saw and what he felt out there with the, you know, the radiation level and the noise and what it left and the marks. He actually touched it. This small craft that had landed in the forest took out a completely different, perspective on his outlook on, on what was going on. And the fact that it came back the next night as well was quite cool. I thought pretty cool. So they had another bite at the cherry, didn't they? And then they saw it again. Now, I think the Rendlesham is very important, but we've got to remember that there are other stuff going on in the UK as well. Unfortunately, it doesn't all get the same sort of airtime as Rendlesham. Like down in Devon, for instance, when I went down, saw this lady, she obviously went to show me this video of her in this triangle craft. And I was outside just waiting for her to set up the TV. She had a small portable television in her downstairs bedroom. She hadn't even plugged it in. She just took it out of the box. It was brand new. And I saw a flash. And there was like this plasma beam went straight past my stomach. Just missed me by 2 inches. Curved ball right down into a bedroom window. And it melted the television. And obviously they didn't want me to see the video, so she brings this TV out, all melting, and the smell of burning plastic. And I'm thinking, wow, what just happened there, And she goes, oh, I hadn't even plugged it in. And they basically just annihilated the TV. So, but I did get to see the video later on. But yeah, it's that was crazy, But like I said, when I got confirmation that we're not alone, it wasn't through that video at all. I needed to have first-hand experience with extraterrestrial activity. And that evening, I was going to get it, So it was about 9 o'clock at night, and it got dark. It had been raining. In fact, I think it was still raining. And her name's Nina, okay? And she went outside. And I don't know why she went out there, but she did. And I was in the kitchen, and she comes in and she goes, Richard, they're outside. They're in my garden. I said, okay, Nina, what's outside? She goes, there's beams coming down. They're taking up soil from my garden into the sky, into the clouds. I said, okay. So I grabbed my night vision. She said, grab your night vision. So I grabbed them. And of course I went out there, I couldn't see anything with my eyes. So I switched my night visions on and lit up the trees beautifully, everything. I could see everything, a garden, no problem. But I couldn't see any beams coming down. So I thought, well, that's odd. And she goes, they're there. Can't you see them? And I said, no, I can't. So I thought, well, the only other thing I can do is go to infrared. So I pushed the infrared button on my night visions, and bang, there they were. 2 lots of beams coming down at a 45-degree angle. I moved the night visions up into the sky. It was cloudy. But just below cloud level, there was this kidney-shaped, what I can describe as a plasma ball, but in a kidney shaped, and it was rocking backwards and forwards really fast. And out of this kidney shaped plasma ball were these 2 beams going down at a 45-degree angle into a garden. And yeah, they were taking up what looked like soil. So I go in and I get the camcorder, because I knew the camcorder had infrared. So I get that, because I want to record this, obviously. And I got it all on tape. I videoed it all. It goes on for about 15, 20 minutes. And the beauty of this is the fact that you can only see it in the infrared spectrum. So when I had the camcorder on, I was recording it. As I looked over the camcorder, all I saw were the trees, and that was it in her garden. Nothing else. It was dark, nothing there. And then as I looked through the camcorder, it looked like I was playing back a pre-recorded tape, because all this, was going on in the infrared spectrum through the camcorder. So, the beauty of this story is the fact that she could see where it was, and she could tell me what was going on, so she could see in the infrared spectrum. They gave her the ability to see, which I thought was incredible, because no human can actually see in the infrared spectrum. They tried it back in the 60s, and it's impossible. But they gave her the ability. And then she goes, Richard, they're moving around to the back of the property. And I said, yes, Nina, I know, I can see. And of course, I'm still looking through the camcorder. She's telling me what she can see, and I can see it as well, of course. And they're like, moving around to the back. just like something out of War of the Worlds. It was phenomenal. The next day I went out there, and sure enough, little round holes, beautifully machined. I measured them. They were 2 inches wide by 4 inches deep, every single one of them. And the mud looked like it had been, machined. It was all smooth and it looked like metal. And there were hundreds of them all over a garden where they'd obviously taken up soil. And I also noticed like acorns, and they'd been like what I can only describe as laser cut, and one was missing. Half of everything was missing. So berries, had been opened up. Half of that is missing. The other half was on the floor.
Strange.
Loads of acorns, but only halves of acorns. I took one of these and I tried to cut it with a knife, with a very sharp blade, and it's almost impossible to cut, especially in a real straight line. And these things were just laser cut, amazing. So, I mean, I don't think it would be the government doing that, and how would they be able to do it in the infrared spectrum, It's like, so there's definitely something going on there. And the fact that she could see all this as well, which blew me away even more. And of course you can hear her on the tape, her saying all this, so, and she's not looking through the camcorder, only I am. So,
my friend, I'm gonna get you to hold on right there, because we're gonna head out to break here at the top of the hour, and this is a great story. I also want to get into UFOs and what has happened here in North America in the last year since the New York Times article has affected what you're doing over there. We'll touch on that. We got some questions building up in our chat rooms as well that we're going to pass on to you. So we got a lot coming up for you, Mr. Richard Lennie, who is our guest talking UFOs over the UK. 30 years in this field, and we're going to hear some stories coming up after the break in hour 2. Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, Little Brother is watching.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR, where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com, where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com, and remember, Little Brother is watching.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Go. Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight I am your host, Dave Scott. Great to have you with us. This weekend, while I am off finding my Zen and my Chi in the snowy forests, Tessa Nicole Thomas takes over SOR HQ for Spaced Out Weekend. She gets going at 9 o'clock Pacific, midnight Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. We welcome back everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio. Don't forget, you can check out all of our archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Oh, Bill. This is impossible, man. It's like, I'm going to say it's like 23 letters long. Oh my God. Oligoa Steve. No, I don't. Bill, you got me. Oligoastenotherapspermia. I'm not even trying it. You got me, Bill. I'm not doing it. Bill sets a password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Bill Cardwell, I hope your Leafs go on a losing streak. I really do. A big-time losing streak, Bill. Big time. Anyways, our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot, soon shop at our brand new Spaced Out Radio store, read up on the SOR Newswire, put together by Captain Shirk, and so much more. Tonight we are talking with United Kingdom UFO researcher Richard Lennie. And we're talking some of the amazing stories he has. We're going to involve your questions coming in here as well, as we normally do in hour number 2. Richard, thank you so much for taking the early wake-up call and joining us here in North America for Spaced Out Radio. Really appreciate that, man.
Okay, thank you. No problem. So, as I was saying, back with the... just to tell you what was going on with the lady down in Devon, because there was a lot of stuff happening down there. It was, she was seeing ETs in her garden and stuff like that as well. I didn't see everything that she saw, but I saw a lot of stuff. And she said that she'd see these beings that were like 7 feet tall with silvery suits, and they'd have a pack on their left arm, and they'd have like this triangle, and they'd put it in a bush, and black smoke would come out of the top. And they seem to every day do experiments in her garden. They do the same thing every day, repeat the same sort of thing. And she said she just gets used to it now. She sees them all the time. So, and I said to her, look, do they see you? And she said, well, they sort of like have wrapped around sunglasses, but they do look straight at me. But whether they're looking at me or through me, she says she's not sure. But I said, have you tried to communicate with them at all? And she said, yeah, but no joy. They just do what they do, and then that's it. And then I said about the craft, and she sees all sorts of shapes, mainly triangle, but she'll see disc-shaped craft as well. And she sees them during the week. And then at the weekends, she gets this incredible thing that happens to her house. She gets this lattice work of colored beams that start to go over her property. It takes about an hour. Okay, it basically covers the whole of her house. She sees this with her own eyes. And then she says the big mothership arrives and it lands in one of her fields. And she thinks the reason for all this going over her home is to protect it as the craft comes in. And I saw where all the, the marks in the ground, where all this stuff happens and everything. And I've seen the beams as well. That weekend, she said if it rains, they don't always come, and it was raining, so I didn't see the craft, but I saw the marks they'd left, and but it gets a bit more interesting than that, because we were back in the kitchen, and it was now probably around about 11 o'clock, and Abby, the cat, she had told me this story that they take the cat, and she doesn't know how they take it, but one minute it's inside the house, next minute it's crying outside, and she doesn't have a cat flap. The windows aren't open, so she couldn't work out how the cat was getting out. And then she discovered one day, while she was in the kitchen, the cat just didn't move, and it looked like it was going to be sick. But she said all of a sudden she could see the tiles coming through the cat as the cat disappeared. It took about 2.5 minutes for it to dissipate. And then about 2 hours later, it'd be outside meowing, wanting to come back in. And I thought, wow, if I could get that on video, that would be amazing. But that evening, around about 11 o'clock, Abby the cat was there, and all of a sudden, it stopped moving. And then it did this thing where it just literally disappeared in front of me. But unfortunately, it did it a bit quicker this time, and I couldn't get a video of it. But I saw it with my own eyes. And what can I say? A cat disappearing in front of you is not something you see every day, right? I mean, yeah, amazing. So she goes, oh, they've taken it. Don't worry about it. She'll be back in a few hours. They take her up in the ship, and you know. And then I went outside to have a look to see if I could see the craft. And like I said, it had been raining. But what I did notice, on her driveway, there was a massive big square, which was dry, as if a car had been there and then driven off. And she said, oh yeah, that's probably where one of the craft had landed. And she said, it's like a box shape, not very big, about the size of a mini. She said, and if it's raining, it won't hit that area, but it's cloaked, so you can't see it. And there was literally this big square in her driveway that was dry as a bone. So I took photos of that. But yeah, it was an amazing night. And like I said, during the daytime, I walked through some of her fields, and she's got 100 acres of land, and there's just so much stuff going on out there. I basically need to go down there again and you know, for another weekend of trying to get more footage. But this lady's definitely seeing stuff. And I discovered later on that at the end of the house, she had a gentleman staying there for a while, who she then got rid of. This gentleman apparently turned out to have worked for MI5, so they obviously were involved as well. They knew something was going on. They got a man on the inside checking everything out. So she wouldn't tell me the reason why she got rid of him, but he was causing trouble or something. And then he kept coming back, and she'd see him in the bushes, and she called the police, and they ended up catching him. And this is how she found out, because the police have to tell you see, by law. So they came back and told her, oh, did you know that this gentleman that you had in your house for 18 months used to work for MI5? So they were obviously involved. So they were interested in what was going on as well, which makes it even more interesting, for me anyway. So, and that's basically as far as the Devon incident's concerned. But like I said, I need to go back down there again, really.
I got a question coming from our audience here. This one comes from Nigel. And Nigel is asking, Richard, excuse me. Richard, have you ever done any research on the Pentridge incident of 2016? There's a stone circle in the vicinity, possibly a portal, as one of the principal witnesses said the craft appeared out of nowhere.
No, I haven't. I'll have to check that one out. As far as portals are concerned, I sort of know where there is one close to me, which is near Taunton, and occasionally old like planes come out of it and stuff like that. I mean, it's weird, like real old craft come out of it, and you can't hear them, you can just see them. So, but no, I haven't checked that out. I'll have to do a bit of research on that one. That sounds interesting.
Totally does, right?
Yeah.
I want to ask you, last year on December 16th, the New York Times posted an article about the Pentagon researching and putting $24 million or $22 million, pardon me, into research of UFO activity called the ATIP program. And I'm wondering, when that story broke, it kind of changed the field almost overnight here in North America. How did that affect what was happening with the field of ufology in the United Kingdom?
I don't really think it did much for us, to be honest with you. I know there was a lot of talk about it, and but I don't really think it affected us that much, to be honest with you. I think at that time there was a lot more sightings going on, and I know a lot more people were getting involved. I personally think that the black budget, has been going on for quite a while over here. I'm sure, we're putting money into stuff as well. But as far as seeing stuff during the night is one thing, but, there's a lot more daytime activity I've noticed. This last few years, I'm seeing more craft during the day now than I was at night time. It sort of almost jumped. So, and to see them during the day, it doesn't take much at all. You don't need night visions, obviously. You just need a filter and a camcorder, basically, and put the zoom to infinity, and there they are. But I have been trying to put it out here now for some time that our airspace here in the UK, and it applies to everywhere, but obviously in the UK, which is where I live, is dangerous at the moment, because we've got these spheres flying around. And I've been doing a lot of research on this, and so have a lot of other ufologists, and we've come to the conclusion that there is one sphere for every 10 miles throughout the circumference of this Earth, and they're up there 24/7. And planes coming into land, they're going up behind them, checking the chemtrails. Well, we assume that's what they're doing anyway. That's what they seem to be doing, checking, the contrails for anything going out. And occasionally they get too close to the planes, and planes come down with dented noses or scratched, fuselages, and they're not bird strikes. And we see them, with our own equipment. We see these spheres literally going up next to these planes, that are full of passengers. So that's a worry, certainly. It's getting a bit crazy now, to be honest with you. It's getting a lot worse than it has been this last few years. So, and I think, trying to get this into the open is difficult, because obviously nobody really wants to take any notice of it. But to answer your question, no, I don't really think it has affected the UK much at all.
What about politically, though? Has there been more political pressure put on by people to find out what the British government knows about UFOs? Has this brought Nick Pope back into prominence again? I'd be quite shocked to know that nothing really changed.
Yeah, Nick Pope, as you probably know, he's retired now, and semi-retired anyway, and gone back to America. But yeah, he does come back occasionally. And you'll see him, doing stuff back over in the UK again. He'll come back over to do a talk or something like that. But there seems to be a lull. I don't know. I've noticed it in this last probably 18 months. It's gone a little bit with this, stuff going on in America and that. And but over here in the UK, I don't know. It just seems to have gone a bit quiet. And I don't know why. So I just do what I do, and try and get the truth out there. But I think we over here in the UK are a little bit more reserved. I think they're a little bit more laid back about the whole thing, or they're pretending to be. If they're doing anything, then I'm not hearing about it. So there doesn't seem to be anything set up as such. I know there was. Going back a few months ago, there was a meeting, wasn't there, out in the Arctic, where a lot of people went out and did a talk, and they were doing something out there, and they had a meeting, and some British people were involved in that. But apart from that, not much really is going on over here, to be honest with you. And I think it needs to step up a gear, really. But,
yeah, I know over here, there has been a lot of intrigue regarding what the To the Stars Academy has brought forward, and the videos and footage like that. Do you think it's slowed down in conversation over there because they're letting America handle that. And really, if we don't talk about it, we don't have to deal with it.
Yeah, that was my impression.
Right.
Yeah, that was my impression with that, especially with that video. Especially when it first came out, there was a lot of controversy over the audio didn't match the video, and they were talking about something else, and it was a fake. And then they said, no, it's not a fake, but I don't know. They came back out with it again, and I think it's something where they're just letting you guys over there in America and Canada deal with it. I think it's easier for the UK, if they can, to let other people sort of just take it on. They don't really, I don't think, want to have anything to do with it unless they absolutely have to. But saying that, when I do my talks, and I know when other ufologists do their talks on shows like this and stuff, and we talk about what we see and everything, sometimes the government will try and put us down and, try and shut us down or whatever. So they're obviously worried about something. They don't want us to get the truth out there. It's obvious, but, we'll keep doing what we do. And hopefully the UK will stand up in a minute and say, look, there is definitely something going on up there and we need to sort it out. But it's getting them to stand up and say it and get this thing rolling, because we need to get it sorted, because there's a lot of stuff going on in the UK. And I think that's another reason why there's so much stuff going on over here now, because of the fact that nothing seems to be getting done about it. So they're coming over here now, and it's more of a hotspot than ever before. Place is literally crawling with stuff, to be honest with you. It's, it's a hotbed for a ufologist at the moment in the UK. I mean, I can go out there any day. And I mean, I'll give an example, just in one example. Back in the summer, I went out my back door. It was blue sky. There was no clouds at all. Okay. Nothing. I wasn't even thinking about UFOs or anything to do with my side of my job. And I said to my daughter, I've just got a feeling there's something up there. I don't know why. You just take a picture with your camera, because I don't have a cell phone. And I went back inside and I thought nothing more about it. 3 days later, my daughter brings in the picture and said, Dad, I got that triangle craft that you wanted. And I went, what triangle craft? She goes, the one that you said you saw up in the sky. And I was thinking, well, I didn't see any craft. And she shows me this picture of where I told her to point the camera. And there was like a grey blob, and she blows it up, and there it is, triangle craft, at around about 50,000, 40,000 feet or whatever it was. So, and this is during the daytime and middle of the afternoon, sky blue, no clouds anywhere. And you just get a feeling that there's something there, and bang, there it is,
It does happen that way. You got to trust those feelings.
You have to, yeah. And I thought nothing more of it. And I didn't, I just thought I had a feeling and I was wrong. But I had a feeling and I was right. Because the proof's in there.
You gotta love when that happens. You gotta love when that happens.
Amazing, isn't it? And Devin, and
totally
my daughter Devin, she just literally just pointed the camera up at the part of the sky. I mean, I just literally pointed to a part of the sky. So it wasn't that accurate. And
I remember one time, Richard, where this way before I started Spaced Out Radio, and I was really starting to just get into the whole UFO site. And I remember talking to my friends, it was a Saturday night, and I'm like, hey, what are you guys doing tonight? And they're like, nothing. I said, why don't we come on over? We'll have a patio, have a couple beers on the patio, we'll have a little fire, and we'll watch some UFOs fly over tonight. I don't know why I said that, just did. He goes, you think we'll see anything? I said, who knows? Why not? I got a feeling. And the first one flew by just before 10 o'clock at night. It was an orange rod with, it looked like silver. It looked like a silver round orbs on the end of each of the rod, on each end of the rod.
Yeah.
And then about 25 minutes later, we looked up and there was the triangle over top of our house, that the entire bottom carriage was these orange rods connected by these silver orbs.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. Unbelievable. So I know exactly what you're talking about when that happens. It is just it's the weirdest yet coolest feeling when you get that type of confirmation.
And I noticed a lot more triangle craft are being seen now than ever before as well. That seems to be the popular one at the moment, is the triangle crafts are back.
Right.
So,
do you think they're ours?
Everywhere. They're everywhere.
Do you think they're ours?
I think some of them are. And I think some of them are back engineered and they're ours. And I think some of them are not, you know. So it depends. But a lot of them are cloaked. And, you know, you can only see them when you zoom up the old contrast and, you know, and then you can see where they are. I remember a video that was sent going back about 6 months ago where a guy had a feeling there was something up in the clouds. Like I had a feeling there was something up in the blue sky. But he couldn't see anything. So he just took a video of it, literally took a video of this part of the sky. And it was dark, okay? It was in America somewhere, I can't remember where. And that was that. And basically sends it and says, you know, I can't see anything there. Can you see anything? So I had a look at it and I thought, well, the only thing I do is up the contrast, you know, and see if I can see anything. So I upped the contrast and bang, there it was, a triangle craft. And you can see it in the clouds, and then it moves, literally, because it's stationary at this point, and then it'll move sort of 45 degrees, and then it'll just basically go on. It'll bug on out, and it'll go, and then it just flies off very slowly, and then it's gone. So he had a feeling there was something up there. He couldn't see a thing, and there you go. And when we upped the contrast on the video, you could see it. Play it in normal, you couldn't see anything. So wow. These things are, and again, that was triangle. Oh yeah, and by the way, there was a couple of little flashes, and that's why he wondered whether it might have been a plane or something like that. And these flashes were coming off this triangle craft. So yeah, it was a phenomenal video. But this just proves, doesn't it? And this thing was sitting over his, backyard. And I think, this is happening in a lot of places. They're just sitting up there for hours and hours, just looking and observing. And then when they've done what it is they want to do, they move on. And it's the same with these spheres that we see all the time, the ones that go up by our planes. They just, hang there. I had a guy in Australia who was on his roof every day for a whole year videoing these things. And he'd watch them, and sometimes there'd be just one sphere, and then there'll be another one, and it'll come down. There'll be two spheres, and it'll be like a dumbbell, and they'll fly off together. And then when a jet plane comes over, they'll go up by the jet plane, and they'll go in and out of the contrails, and they'll do stuff. What are these things? They're like the size of a very, very small car. And what are they doing? Who's in them? Well, we don't think there's anybody in them. We think they're drones, and we think they're controlled by something else. Because, again, when I did the research on these spheres, I used another gentleman called John Wilson, who's another ufologist here in the UK. He has a very powerful telescope, and basically he tracked the dumbbell one with the two, and he tracked it going out into space, and he tracked it literally heading towards the moon. Now, we do see spheres coming and going from the moon occasionally, or we see these videos, that are up on YouTube.
My friend, I'm going to pause you right there as we're going to go to a break at the bottom of the hour here. Richard Lennie is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio, UFOs in the UK. We're talking black triangles, continuing it right after the break.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. The SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Welcome back to Spaced Out Radio. Tonight I am your host, Dave Scott. We're talking UFOs in the United Kingdom with Richard Lennie. 30 years of experience of looking into the UFO phenomena in the British Empire. Welcome back, Richard.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
Now, right before the break, we were talking about black triangles. And yeah. I got a question from Joe here. and he is asking, Richard, are the triangle craft that you were talking about like the ones that have been photographed in Belgium decades ago?
Yeah, well, they're very similar to that. I believe that one had the light in the middle and it had lights on the edges. This one had lights on the edges but no light in the middle. Some seem to have a red light in the middle or an orangey red light, and then sometimes they don't. But I've seen them where they don't and then they do, so they seem to come and go. Which is an odd one. So I think the light in the middle is to do with their propulsion. I think when they're moving away or towards you, this seems to come in active. And when it's stationary, you then don't see it. You just see the lights on the four corners. Or sometimes all lights go out and you just see the black triangle craft and no lights at all. So, but yeah, it's very similar to that. I think they all are, to be honest with you. And yes, there was no portals, there was no windows or anything like that. It just literally a slab of, well, whatever the material was, in a triangle shape with the lights on the four corners. And then when it moved, you had like this little glow in the middle, but you could hardly see it as it was going away. But yeah, they are basically the same thing. The spheres, they look basically like a sphere, just a round ball, no lights at all on them. And if viewers want to see these, by the way, they don't have to buy expensive equipment. They could go out today in their backyard and see them. All they have to do is get an old camcorder, which if you haven't got, you can pick up on eBay. Make sure it's got a screw thread lens. That's the only thing. It has to have a screw thread lens on the end of it. And then you get yourself a infrared filter. A good one will cost you around about $50. The camcorder will probably be about the same. And there you are. For $100, you've got everything you need. And then just put the zoom to infinity, pan the sky slowly until you see one of these spheres, and then record it and watch it and see what it does. And trust me, once you've seen them, you'll be wanting to see them again and again because you just want to see what they're doing. And when planes go over, sometimes they'll go after the planes, sometimes they won't. But, it depends on what they are designed to do at that particular point, I suppose. But that's all you need is literally a camcorder and an infrared filter, and you'll see these spheres during the daytime. And then during the nighttime, just get yourself a good set of Generation 2 night visions, They'll cost you around about $1,000, $1,500. Or if you want something a bit cheaper, go for a 1 Plus, which is equivalent to a 2. And you can pick those up for like $600, $700. And then you're able to see everything during the night as well, which is what I do. And you can get
fun.
Yeah, you can get night visions, by the way, that have got a memory card, and you can record as well. So at night time, it's like a camcorder. So when you see stuff during the night, you can record it as well and play it back through the viewfinder, and then put it into your laptop and play it back. So you've got a record of what you've seen, and then you can show to your friends and say, look, this is what I caught last night going over my house. So, but the camcorder is the cheapest way of doing it, and it's easy as well. And they're up there all the time. Whereas with night visions, of course, you might go a whole week and not see anything. And then one night, you'll be out there and you'll just have a whole night of stuff. Whereas with the spheres, they're up there 24/7, 365. They're up there all the time. So I tend to go for the daytime one first. So you can just see, there is stuff going on. And then basically report back and put it up on YouTube or whatever, and just, the more people that see these things, because I've noticed this when I was doing talks around the country, I had a lot of people that didn't disbelieve, but they didn't literally believe either. They were sitting on the fence, if you like. They just needed that little push. And it's easy for me to stand up with a PowerPoint and just show photos and pictures and videos and say, oh yeah, I've seen this, this and this. But it's better if you guys see it for yourself, because once you've seen it, then it's not a plane, it's not a balloon, it's not flares and this and that, it's not a drone, then you hopefully will then go further with it and perhaps end up being a researcher and doing stuff like I do as well, and get into it more. Because the more people that are out there doing this, that means then the more chances we have of getting the truth out there. And this is what I'm trying to do.
But there's also the added fact that, and we've seen it already, that the more people who go out there into the field to look for these black triangles or whatever's flying in the sky, the more chances of CGI and, BS that's leading people on comes to fruition.
That's right. I totally agree. You can't have one without the other. This is the problem. This, of course, is something where over time with me, I can basically see a video and I know within 30 seconds usually whether it's CGI'd or not, because I know what to look for. But obviously not everybody does. And you are right. The more people that go out there, the more chances are that we're going to have, the rubbish coming back, which we don't obviously want. So it's unfortunate, but it's the nature of the beast, you can't have one without the other. But with these spheres, they're up there, and it's not a question of that's CGI'd. I mean, I can give you another example. June Miller, just check her out on YouTube. June Miller, she lives in London, North London, I think it is, and she just catches stuff every day from a balcony. All right, yeah, she catches stuff every day from a balcony, and sometimes it'll be these spheres I've just talked about. Sometimes it'll be odd-shaped craft, and you'll think, okay, that may be a balloon or that may be a drone. But there's these things that she catches, and they change shape as they're going through the sky. They're literally morphing into different shapes. And this is going over London, And I discovered that London is a great pickup area because, it's got the Michael and Mary ley lines going through it. It's a hot spot for UFOs. I had a friend who I've been telling about these spheres for a long time, and he sort of joked it off a bit. He went to London last weekend, took a photograph of a plane landing at Heathrow Airport with 4 spheres behind it. So literally behind the plane. And he's going, Rich, I believe you, so... But you want to check June Miller out. She's catching a lot of stuff at the moment, and they're not just normal shape. I mean, they're all sorts of shapes, weird shapes. Some of them look like they're breathing. They're coming up close to her, and they got like a heartbeat. They're moving in and out. So they're like almost a living organism, which just reminded me of Nina back in Devon. one morning she thought she had a burglar, and she went to her living room to see who it was, and there was a squid-like creature in her room going all over her furniture. So she shooed it out through the French doors, and it left sucker marks all over her lacquered French furniture. So she was cleaning it all off, and everything. And then she had this one on her French windows, which she left. And I had a look at it, and it's basically like a thumbprint, but it's literally curved all in one angle going down. And there we have the DNA of an extraterrestrial, whatever you would like to call it, a xenomorph. I don't know. So there's stuff going on all over the place, on the ground, in the sky. Going back to the night vision thing, I remember seeing, which I assumed was a sphere, moving up at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I just basically held my night visions because I didn't want to lose this thing because it looked like a star. So I would have lost it if I'd moved. And it was moving up vertically, which I thought was odd. So I knew it wasn't a satellite because it basically moved up so far and then stopped. And satellites don't stop. So I was just sat there and I was waiting. It was 3 a.m. in the morning. It was winter. It was about 5 years ago. And I was wondering what the, how this thing was going to do, basically. And all of a sudden, this sphere became 1.5 spheres. So a little bit of another sphere was coming out of it. And I thought, oh, that's different. I haven't seen that before. And then it went back in. And it did this about 2 or 3 times. And then on about the 3rd or 4th time, it stayed out. So we have 1.5 spheres. And then out of this second little sphere came a beam of light, which I assume was plasma. And it just kept coming out and out and out and out. And I'm there, like, sat here watching this thing, wondering what this beam's going to do. And I think it was in space. I don't think it was in our ionosphere. So we were talking of a craft in space, and it was shooting a beam out. And it went out quite far, and then it stopped. And then the beam then started to move slowly back in again. And it went straight back into the 1.5 spheres. And then the 1.5 spheres became 1 sphere. And then it just sat there. So I'm sitting there, and this is probably, I suppose, about 6, 7 minutes had gone by at this point. And then all of a sudden, the thing just shot off so quick. It was like the USS Enterprise. It was gone. And then there was like a flash. So I think what I experienced there was a craft preparing for and going into light speed. So this beam that was moving out of the sphere was moving the molecules aside, and then the thing just fired through it. And that's what I think I saw that night. It was a craft actually going into light speed. And it was incredible to watch. Yeah, well, I've never seen it again. It's an unusual maneuver. But that's what I think. I mean, I don't know for certain that's what it was, but that's what I reckon it was anyway. Yeah.
I want to get political here for just a second here. What is the attitude of disclosure over in the UK?
Well, the attitude, I suppose you could say, is they think, that we're going to get visited at some point, but it's going to be a long way off. It's going to be probably in the next 300-400 years. And, we're alone and there's nothing's going to happen at this point. But maybe later on, disclosure will come, but it's a long way off. That's the impression I get anyway from what I see, It depends who you talk to, of course. But from scientific point of view, that's our researchers, that's what they're saying. Until recently, until a few days ago, in fact, when we had that Abua, coming through.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, they're now saying, aren't they, that they think it could be alien. So, and that the thing was covered in a solar cell. Because as it was going out of our solar system, it actually sped up. It went faster. So for a thing to accelerate and to go out, our guy and your guys at Harvard, I believe as well, they were working out mathematically that the only possibility is it must have some sort of drive, and the only sort of drive it could have had would have been some sort of solar cell connected to it for it to be able to do that as it shot its way out into deep space. So, but up until that point, yeah, it's pretty conservative, to be honest with you. Disclosure is, for the UK is something, well, I suppose we've sort of had it with Rendlesham to a certain point, but, people then go quiet about it again. It starts to flare up and then it goes back down. You think, oh yeah, here we go, it's going to start now. And then you don't hear about it again. They're very clever about burying everything over here in the UK, like they are in America and like they are in Canada as well. But we bury things, we bury them, So that's the problem.
But within the community, is there people like Stephen Bassett over here who are pushing the British government for disclosure, or is it pretty much just if it happens, it happens? Like, is there a real attitude towards trying to get the files opened? And is anybody being a leader on that?
Well, yeah, it started about years ago where Richard D. Hall tried to get it going. And unfortunately, he didn't get anywhere with that. Other ufologists have tried to, get Parliament to do certain things. And, oh yes, if we get into power, we will certainly research it. We will try and find out what's going on, no problem. And then we hear nothing more about it. David Cameron's, when he was Prime Minister here in the UK, he promised that he was going to try and find out what was going on with the X-Files and whether there was any truth in any of this. And we heard nothing more. They keep burying it all the time. This is the problem. And to be honest with you, I think maybe that's part of the reason why Nick Pope, got fed up and moved, to be honest with you, to America, because he could see that, there wasn't nothing really going to happen over here. Dead end almost, if you like. So, but we keep trying, we keep trying. Then, you hear about it every now and again, but yeah, and then it goes away and you don't hear about it again. So, I think we just have to keep trying. When a new government comes up, they promise you all sorts of things, obviously, and they don't always deliver, as you know. But I don't know. Didn't your president say he was going to try and find out something as well? Or
our prime minister here? No, he's more. Justin Trudeau's more interested.
Your prime minister. Sorry.
He's more interested in making up words like people kind instead. It's things like that. So UFOs, that's going to be a little bit too tough for him to pronounce.
Yeah, sure. I understand. Well, yeah, I know. It is difficult, isn't it? And the thing with me is I see all this stuff, and I know for a fact we're not alone. I know there's definitely stuff going on out there. Then we've got people in the astronomy world who have these sky watches, to do with the planets and stuff.
Yes.
And they occasionally, they'll occasionally come up with stuff about UFOs, and they'll mock it. They'll make it look like it's a joke. This is why I don't go on TV anymore, by the way, because I've noticed something which I think is quite important. When you do a program now over here in the UK about UFOs, so I'm going to do a half-hour program about UFOs. I'm going to chat about it. It's going to be in my home. They're going to video me, and I'll show videos and pictures and stuff of what I've seen. What they'll do, at the end of that, they'll edit it, but they'll edit it in a way where it'll make me look stupid at the end. And I've seen this happen so many times before. People have come up to me and said, Rich, whatever you do, if they offer to do a TV show about you now, don't do it. Because all they do is they'll just ridicule you and make you look stupid. So I've kept away from it. And I've seen my other colleagues go through it. And yeah, it's not pretty. In fact, you're cringing at the end of it. It's terrible. And they are saying to me after as well, there was so much stuff that I'd done for that program, which they never showed. And the most important parts they didn't show. I said, well, there you go. They're set out to make you look stupid. They're not set out to get the truth out there. And this is the problem we've got. With TV over here in the UK is on that subject. They just ridicule it at the end of the day. I always remember one scene. This is important, so I must tell you this.
We only got 2 minutes.
Okay, quick then. The Sky at Night is a program like the Sky at Night, but it was back down to Earth, and it was a live thing. It was talking about planets and stuff. And some little boy wanted to know. He was talking to 2 astronauts, and there's a head of NASA there as well, a woman. And the presenter read this line. He said, "There's a 7-year-old boy lives somewhere in the UK. He wants to know, have either of you 2 astronauts ever seen a UFO while you've been on the ISS?" Before they could reply, okay, the woman from NASA, I can't remember her name now, went like that. Such a false cough. You know, she was basically saying to them, watch it, what you say. And then they looked at her and then they said, no, we haven't seen anything apart from, space debris. But I think they were going to say something. But you could see, it was just, it made me so angry.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, wow, I couldn't believe it. I was shouting at the TV. And to get this, all those programs are on YouTube, and the Back Down to Earths, which are half an hour, so you've got 1.5 hours, and there's like 6 episodes. That 1.5 hour with her coughing is not anywhere on YouTube. You will not find it anywhere. They've taken it off. All the other ones are there.
Very weird.
Yeah.
Very real.
So what does that tell you? Exactly.
Well, you know what? I think we can all understand that there is a cover-up going on, whether it's here in North America or in the United Kingdom. So in your opinion, as we got about 45 seconds here before we go to break, who discloses first? Is it Great Britain, Canada, the United States, Putin in Russia? Who do you think if you could choose out of one of those 4?
I suppose it could be the United States, but I think when disclosure comes, I mean, it's all going to be, everyone's going to know at the same time, aren't they? It's just a question of where it happens. It could happen in the United States. It's a big place. I think that's one of the reasons why they have a lot of sightings out there and a lot of abductions, is because there are a lot of people that live in the middle of nowhere. So that helps.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they're more likely to go to some person whose neighbour's 4 miles away than somebody whose neighbour's 4 feet away. But there again, it could be somewhere like Canada. There's a lot of very similar sort of terrain, but just colder, snow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I hear you there, my friend. And we got another half hour with Richard Lennie from the United Kingdom talking UFOs on Spaced Out Radio. We'll be back with hour number 3 right after this.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for a night on the town? The Moose Vancouver is the bar that never stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
We are getting ready to relaunch the SOR Space Travelers Club at spacedoutradio.com. For $5 a month, you can join us for a plethora of features found nowhere else. Hang out in a private chat room during the show and after party. You can check out some exclusive content and a store specifically for you, as well as a private listener forum where you can post your thoughts, stories, and pictures. The SOR Space Travelers Club, coming soon to spacedoutradio.com.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
On the first Tuesday of every month, I encourage you to come along for a journey with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You. Together, we will take a look at how to access the highest expression of yourself and change your life. Consciousness, ET contact, health, and wellness, we can talk about it all. So come along for a spiritual ride with me, Geraldine Orozco, on The Spiritual You, only on Spaced Out Radio.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us. I'm off to find my Zen and my Chi, maybe a little Bigfoot in the forest this weekend. But no worries. We have Tessa Nicole Thomas taking over SOR HQ for Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 o'clock Pacific, midnight Eastern, both Saturday and Sunday night at spacedoutradio.com. We welcome back everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio. Don't forget, you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. That's where we store all of our archives. Bill Cardwell has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, and by God, it's ugly. It is ugly. Oligoa stenthoteratospermia. And I'm only pronouncing that once because it is way too long, way too ugly. Bill sets a password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. I know I'm not getting a big mention. And if you're wondering what the password is for, exactly. Richard Lennie is our guest tonight. We introduce him for the final time as we are talking UFOs in the United Kingdom. What's going on over there? What are people seeing? Richard, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, we're seeing all sorts of stuff, mainly spheres in the sky during the day, and at night we're seeing these, apart from the triangles, we're seeing these disc shapes, which is basically standard that everyone seems to be seeing over the years, but also, which seems quite strange, we've got these things that people call fast walkers. I don't know if you know about these, but they're fast walkers are a bit weird. They're almost see-through, like a ghost. I think they're perfectly cloaked. I don't think you can see them at all with the naked eye. So through the night visions, they, like I said, they look like a ghost. They're almost see-through. And boy, did these things move quick. I mean, really quick. And you're moving the night visions, you see one, and you're trying to keep up with it. So of course, the bigger field of view you have, the better it is. Otherwise, you'll just lose it. And we're not sure what they are. We're not sure whether they are one of ours or one of theirs. But yeah, definitely 100% cloaked and quite large as well. I'd say probably size of a small plane, perhaps. But we don't know what they are. We don't know where they come from, where they go. You'd be just there, looking through the sky, and all of a sudden you'll just catch it in the corner of your eye, and you'll just try and follow it. I mean, they're not bats, they're not birds, or nothing like that. We know what they look like through night visions. These things are just completely different. Also, we see plasma balls. Now, these you don't need night visions for, because if you look at one through night visions, then you're going to hurt your eyes. You see these with the normal eyes. They used to be around about 3 o'clock in the morning, and would see them bobbing over the tops of people's roofs. And yeah, they're weird. They're like a big beach ball. And they are full of like plasma, like a mini sun. It's weird, very strange to explain. And but I haven't seen them lately. The last time I saw one of those probably would have been about 2 years ago, when I used to see them quite a lot. Apart from that, I suppose you see these spheres in shapes of triangles. You see them in shapes of other craft. and they'll sort of like peter off. Like you'll see one, like a whole, I don't know, 6 or 7 of them in a row, and then all of a sudden they'll just basically separate. And when you first see them, you think they're a cluster of birds, but they're not. They're actually out in space. And yeah, it's really weird. So we're seeing those as well, like clusters of small, tiny spheres all together, like huddled together, and then 2 or 3 will move off into another part of the sky. But some of these are definitely ours. I'm convinced of that. Because like I said earlier in the show, you know, you'll have one that'll fly across, and then it'll stop, and it'll stay there for like 20 minutes as if it's waiting for something. And then another one will come across, and it'll literally shoot after it, and it'll like dogfight with it. So you've got that going on as well. So there's definitely one chasing another one, if you like, you know. So we have that going on as well. But yeah, and I've seen some strange things. Talking about plasma balls, I had a friend who controls the Glastonbury Festival. Don't know if you've heard of that. The festival that happens every other year over here, or every year for 4 years, and it stops for a year. Sorry, and they have bands playing. Okay. Now, this is out in Taunton, in the street near Taunton, and it's in a big field, farmer's field, and he holds this every year. And the guy that runs the organisation of setting everything up has seen a lot of stuff, because he'd be out there obviously at night in his trailer, and you know, he sees lots of UFOs and everything. And he said to me, "Look, Rich, do you want to see fairies?" And I said, "Yeah, of course. I've never seen a fairy before." So I met him in the street in Somerset, in a village, and it was about 9 o'clock at night, and he drove me out to this field by the motorway. And I remember going into this field with him, and you could see Taunton in the distance, which is a city near Devon, down that side of the country. And we got there, and there was no ferries. So we hung around for a little bit, and he said, "Well, the weather's right for them. They don't like rain, and it's not raining, and it's not windy. Perfect weather for them." He said, "I don't understand it." So we waited for about 3/4 of an hour, and we were just about to go. And then at the bottom of the field was a wooded area, and there was this light, and it was coming from the wood. And he thought that it was a light from a car. So he said, "Let's go and investigate." So we went down there, had a look, and there was no car there, but there was this plasma ball sort of like hovering 20 feet off the ground, and then all of a sudden it shot up in the air and disappeared. And then on the floor, in the grass, was all these little dots, little green dots, like fibre optics, and they were fairies, and I couldn't believe it. So we got down, I had a look at them, got close to them, and they had little bodies, and they were all curled up in groups of 2s or 3s, or on their own. And so I thought, well, okay, let's see if I can pick one up. So I went to pick one up, and as I went to pick it up, it went down into the soil. And the guy I was with said, "Yeah, they'll do that until they're used to you. They won't let you pick them up." So I backed off, and they come back up again. And I said to this guy I was with, who was showing me these fairies, I said, "Well, I'm standing on them. They're everywhere." And he said, "Oh, don't worry, you can't hurt them. You can't hurt them." And yeah, it was a bizarre evening. Very strange, very strange. And at night, they glow green like fireflies. And during the day, of course, they got like normal skin color, you know. But he only took me there during the night, so I got to see them during the day. But he said when they get used to you, they fly up onto your, you know, onto your shoulder and into your hair and stuff. And he said, I've been coming here for years, and you know, this is where they come to see me. And it's a nature reserve place. You know, you can't walk your dog there or anything like that. So of course it's beautifully kept. You know, everything is lovely, and the grass and all that is majestic. You know, everything is gorgeous. And all you could see is thousands and thousands of these little green lights all over the place. Reminded me of a night disco, you know, dance floor with all these lights shining up through it. But they were all green. And like I said, they were either in groups of 3s or 4s, or they're on their own, and they're all huddled up, and they're all like asleep. But when you went to touch them, you wake them up and they go down into the soil. And there you are. It's exactly what I saw. Now, I did take videos of it. I did take photos of it, but I didn't have a macro lens. Of course, when they came back, they were just triangles of green, so you didn't see anything. So I need to go back there and research that one as well. But that was my encounter with the fairies.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I know other people have seen them in other parts of the world, and they said, yeah, at night they do glow green. So, just like fireflies. But we don't get fireflies in the UK anyway, so yeah, that was a bizarre night, that was. And also, the sky was really clear, and I remember getting into the car and driving off back up to the motorway, and as soon as I hit the motorway, it started to rain heavily with sort of like ice. It was like big chunks of ice. It was really weird. It was a strange night. Very, very strange. So, like a hailstorm, but it wasn't a hailstorm. It was sort of in between. It was really weird.
Michael is asking in the chat room, what do you think these plasma balls might be?
Well, old Ed Grimsley had an idea. He thought that when he saw these plasma balls, a person had passed away in that property that it was hanging over. Because he did a bit of research when he was alive, and he'd go to these houses to say, you know, if they've had any strange experiences, and all they'd ever say to him is, no, but we've had somebody, you know, pass on in the night. I don't know. I mean, I did some research on it with my customers when I worked for Porsche, when I'd drive their cars out, because they'd live in lovely houses and they'd be remote, and I'd tell them this story, and they'd say, oh, yeah, we've seen them as well. In the bottom of our garden, they crackle, you know, like a fire. Well, I've never heard the crackling, but that was interesting. So, yeah, they just come from nowhere and then they disappear. It's very, very strange. And they are like, it's like a little mini sun, you know, about the size of a beach ball, perhaps a bit bigger, you know. And they're just bobbing around, floating around over people's roofs of houses and stuff like that. But the fairy story, when I saw that plasma ball, I thought, oh, well, I've seen these before, you know, and that was that. I didn't expect to see the fairies afterwards, but they must have come in this plasma ball. So are there fairies in every one? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe this is how they travel, you know. Yeah, very strange.
I want to ask you about your UFO sightings, because you've talked a lot about daytime sightings and nighttime. Are you getting more in the daytime because it's easier to see comparatively to the nighttime, where the UK being such a small place, light pollution has to play a major factor?
It does play a major factor. You're right. You are definitely right there, yeah. But I have noticed a trend where I was getting craft later in the night, where my colleagues from the United States and Canada were using night visions, were getting theirs earlier in the evening. So I wouldn't get anything before 10 o'clock at night, you know, 11 o'clock at night, where they basically finished and put their stuff away. And I'm thinking, that's strange. So, but yeah, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, it usually kicks off. But like I said, lately, it's been very quiet. I'm seeing more during the day than at night. I don't think it's to do with light pollution, because the light pollution hasn't really changed. Although I do see more in winter, because obviously the light's better. I mean, it's, the air's thinner, so obviously you're going to get a better image. You're going to see a lot more during the night time. Everything's a lot clearer. The stars are a lot clearer. You see 40% more anyway. And it's amazing during the winter months on a clear night. It's incredible. It just is incredible to view. But I have noticed lately I am seeing more during the day than at night time. So, but I wouldn't say it was to do with light pollution. I'd just say it's just the trend, I think, at the moment. The way they're working, But the UK as a whole is a hot spot anyway. It just seems a bit quiet at the moment during the nighttime months. But hopefully that will change now winter's here. Hopefully we'll see more.
Are a lot of people in the UK looking for UFOs, or are you still in part of a small contingent?
Yeah, I think I am. I'm still it's still a very small contingent compared to America and Canada and Australia. From what I see anyway, I tell my colleagues and friends what I see, and I tell them what to buy. I get a few people that get them, and then they see stuff and then they're hooked. But a lot of the time, they just brush it off, basically. They're just not interested. Or they'll be interested for 5 minutes, but then they'll get distracted by something else, So that's the problem I find anyway. We're too reserved, I think, over here. That's the problem. We're still too reserved. We need to, look outside the box. Excuse me. We need to, look outside the box more, I think, over here. That's what I'm doing. This is why I'm on Facebook and doing what I'm doing to try and get more people to, get these night visions, get these camcorders, see stuff during the day. Because that's why I get asked all the time. It's Rich, why don't I see stuff, in my back garden in the middle of the afternoon? Well, you will. If you have the right equipment, you will see stuff, You will see stuff all the time. You just need to know what to get and where to look. But it's all happening above your heads. You just got to look up. So, it's UK is a bit reserved, I think. Yeah, I'm still trying to get them. But I'm working on it.
Over in the United States, there is a big ploy of a bunch of people, researchers, who believe that the government has alien aircraft, the government has reverse-engineered technology. I mean, if you believe the stories of people like Bob Lazar or David Adair, you tend to think that there may be something to that at hidden bases like Area 51. Does the UK have any bases like that, or is there any rumors that the UK has any sort of aircraft from space in their possession?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. We have got bases over here, obviously, but nothing sort of toward that comes to mind, like Area 51. But I'm sure we have. I'm sure we have got stuff like that. I was told that going back a while ago, one of the ETs was taken from Area 51 and brought over to the UK because he's being mistreated. But how true that was, I don't know. And then he left after a while. He was only here for a few days. So, but yeah, there's got to be, I would have thought. I mean, Area 51, obviously, we all know about, although it's now probably more likely Area 52 or S4 that they keep all the stuff. But Area 51, we've got to have our own, I would have thought. But nobody's really come up with anything as such. So, you could name any airbase here in the UK, but whether or not they've got anything stored. But there is some stuff coming through, little snippets of information where there'll be a base here in the UK, and in the middle of the night they'll get stuff brought down and they've been on the road for like 4 hours, and they'll say, oh yeah, we've got this stuff, we've got to keep it in overnight. It's radioactive, so don't go anywhere near it. And some of the sentries on duty that night would check it with a Geiger counter, and they weren't radioactive at all. So they were wondering what they had. And it turned out that it was part of a crashed UFO, but they only found out that later on. But these things come and go, you see. They don't stay. We're like an overnight sort of place, you know, sort of in between, going from one place to another. And, so we do get stuff come here, I think, but it's not like Area 51. At least I don't think it is anyway.
No, I think if that happens due to any sort of, NATO type agreement, that anything would probably be shipped over to the United States almost effective immediately. I mean, I have heard of situations where C-5 Galaxies have flown into Royal Air Force bases to pick up strange things and fly them back into the United States. So that seems very, very logical to me that that it would be that way.
Yeah, I think that's basically what's going on here. I think they're using the UK as like, a dumping area, if you like. I mean, the stuff that happens here in the UK, we get, I'm sure we get a lot of crashed craft, and then they keep the stuff for like 48 hours or whatever, and then it's shipped on out somewhere else, So I think that's what's going on with that, definitely.
My friend, we have under 2 minutes left with you tonight.
Okay.
And, or early this morning where you are. And I know we have a lot of UK listeners out there who love to tune us in, and we thank all of them. And that's why we love it when we get guests from the United Kingdom or Europe on the show, because it brings it a little bit closer to home for you guys over there. And, we're approaching, what time would it be here? Let's see, 7:30 in the morning, your time. I want to say a big thank you for you coming on Spaced Out Radio, Richard. And if you could do me a favor, let our audience know where they can find your videos, your research, and how they can get a hold of you online.
Yeah, sure. Well, if you go to Facebook, I'm on Facebook. It's Richard Lennie, Lennie, and then in brackets, ufologist. And if you go on YouTube, you'll just Google me, Richard Lennie, and all my videos will come up. So, just Google me. I think I got the first 7 pages, something like that. And you'll find me.
Excellent.
No problem. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, I think I've just made it. My voice is just about to go. So.
I hear that. Yeah, I know. And you know what? Yeah. I'll let the audience know. A couple days ago, you messaged me saying, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. I have no voice. And you got one of them troubling colds right now, but you made it through, my friend. And I want to say thanks for stepping up to the plate and really giving our audience a great inside look into what's happening in the United Kingdom, not only with your research, but with ufology in general. I think it was a really, really good insight for all of us. So thank you.
No, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Not a problem. Richard Lennie from the United Kingdom talking UFOs tonight. Coming up next on Spaced Out Radio, we finish off the week with Olaf Phillips from Paranoia Magazine and the SOR Newswire. We're on the home stretch now. Stay tuned for the final half hour right after this.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio Live with Dave Scott on the Deep Talk Radio Network.
Coming soon to our website, spacedoutradio.com, is the SOR Space Travelers Club. For just $5 a month, you can get into a private area on our site where you can hang with other listeners in our chat room, post in our forum, and check out a bunch of exclusive content and store that won't be found anywhere else, including a nightly after-show party with Dave. It's going to be the best $5 a month you're going to spend. to SOR Space Travelers, only at spacedoutradio.com.
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
We're bringing... Join me, Chris Zuger, and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Did you know Spaced Out Radio runs 7 days a week? Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm here to take you on a paranormal journey each Saturday and Sunday night. Why change the station when you have it all right here? Together, we'll hang out and share some strange and scary stories. And don't forget, we have Psychic Sundays as well, so come tune in Spaced Out Weekend. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com, where we own the night.
Stops rocking until 2 a.m. every night. The Moose has great food with everything on the menu from $6.95 to $8.95. Fantastic, vibrant staff and rock and roll that will bring you back to when the music was real, the hair was long, and the guitars were rocking. Get your party on at the Moose, Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want, when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
Welcome back to the third last half hour of Spaced Out Radio. As we have rounded third, we're heading for home tonight. On the show, we've given Olaf Phillips from Paranoia Magazine the night off. He wanted to go do some R&R this weekend, much needed. He works a lot of time. Like, that dude is working like literally 16, 18 hours a day. By the time he finishes up his work shift, spends some time with his boys, and then comes in for the nightcap to do the news. So we decided to give him the night off tonight because he was heading up to Northern California to relax, and hopefully he is kind of chilling out, getting out of the fire smoke down there. And to all of our California listeners, I got to tell you, we're sending you a lot of love right now up here in British Columbia, because last year we were in your situation. It is absolutely in dire need of some water there. There's a lot of men and women right now who are working diligently to get these forest fires out. The one is just absolutely massive. Massive. And like we said last night on the show, don't be a hero. If you're listening to this and you have the chance to evacuate from those forest fires in California, get out. Pack up your valuables, only what you need. Everything else is replaceable. Everything. Your life isn't. Your animals' lives aren't. And yeah, by the way, there are people out there who are, leaving their animals behind. You know what? They're part of your family. You got them for a reason. Take your animals with you. They're important. Their lives matter as well. This isn't a PETA thing. This isn't, a sob story for animals, but they're part of your family. I couldn't imagine when I evacuated last year not taking my dogs or my cat. Had to. That's just the way it is. But don't be a hero. Don't try and have your little garden hose going up against a 30-foot wall of flame. It's not going to work. Grab your stuff, get out. Forest fires are dangerous. There's already been too many lives lost here. It's easier to replace and rebuild a house. Your life is not worth it. Or your life is worth it, pardon me. It's not worth losing over a forest fire. I apologize about that. But nonetheless, we are in the news of the night. One of the stories that one of the songs I absolutely love, and one of my favorite artists, he's a Canadian guy named Gordon Lightfoot. And he wrote a song in the 70s called The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Well, today in 1975, the Edmund Fitzgerald sank. It was on its way from Wisconsin towards Detroit, sailing on Lake Superior, otherwise known as Gitchagumi. And apparently there was hurricane force winds. A major winter storm hit. Hurricane force winds and waves that were more than 30 feet high. And 29 sailors lost their lives that day. And as the First Nations say, the Witch of November came early and took that lives and took the Edmund Fitzgerald down. So if you're on YouTube after this show, of course, not right now, because we're kind of broadcasting right now. But I mean, the big thing is, go listen to that song, The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Gordon Lightfoot is such an incredible, incredible storyteller that you just have to listen to that song. It's definitely worth it. Definitely worth it. So you definitely want to check that out. But yeah, a little bit of history, going back in time to the Edmund Fitzgerald. Took them a while, too, to find that ship. It wasn't easy. But they finally found her at the bottom of Lake Superior. And that's where she lays today. It's kind of sad, but yeah. 43 years ago. Incredible how time flies. Moving on to the news. And we have a great news section at spacedoutradio.com. Just click on the news section. Captain Shirk does a fantastic, fantastic job with the news there. And I highly suggest you check it out. In Canada, and I'm not sure in the United States how many people wear poppies. Because this weekend up here in Canada, it'll be, I believe it's Veterans Day in the United States, but up here we call it Remembrance Day on November 11th. It is going to be the 100-year anniversary of the end of World War II on Sunday. And this is an important time. And across Canada, there will be bells ringing 100 times to celebrate the 100-year anniversary of the end of World War I. Now, up here, there is a big debate right now because a lot of the new people, wrong terminology, a lot of the younger people, I should say, who really don't like war, and none of us really do. It's a horrible, horrible thing. We're sick of it. Everybody is sick of fighting and sick of seeing these wars going on, whether it's in the Middle East or Africa or wherever it could be. You know, it's time for the world to calm down a little bit. But there's a lot of people, and there's a contingent up here in Canada now that are refusing to wear the red poppy. And I got a little bit of an issue with that. They are going with a white poppy, saying that the red poppy signifies and glorifies war. I couldn't disagree with that more. You put the red poppy on because the red poppy, as we all know, was written about in Flanders Field. But the red poppy is about remembering those who gave their lives, the ultimate sacrifice, as they call it, for us to be able to have freedom, especially here in North America. And one of the things I think a lot of the younger generations are taking for granted is that freedom. The World War I vets are all gone. The World War II vets are getting skinnier and skinnier in numbers every single day. And a lot of these people who fought in World War I and World War II, their stories are being lost, unfortunately. And let's hope that the world never has to go through that again. But on Sunday, take the time at 11:11 to remember and to take the time to thank a veteran. Whether you've served or not, or you've had people in your family serve or not, is irrelevant. Thank a veteran. Whether they served in World War II, whether they served in Korea, Vietnam in the United States, Gulf War, or in any current conflict. Every veteran deserves to have their hand shaked, and for you to say thank you, because you know what? The minute they put their name, man or woman, doesn't matter. The minute they put their name on that dotted line, whether they were drafted like they were in the World Wars, Korea, Vietnam, or whether they signed up, every veteran deserves a handshake. Every veteran deserves a thank you, because they were willing to make the ultimate sacrifice, and many did, so that today we could have this stupid debate on whether or not to use or wear a red or white poppy on Remembrance Day. And for those who are saying that they do not want to wear the poppy on Remembrance Day, wake up. Go through the history books. Go see some of the atrocities the Nazi Germans caused, especially with the Jewish people. The way the Japanese and the Germans treated prisoners of war. It's disgusting. But nonetheless, take the time to thank a veteran on Sunday. They deserve it. Now, we're going to head over to Kentucky for our next story, where there's this really unidentified weird creature that is killing animals in strange ways. Law enforcement around rural Kentucky are looking for a creature, whatever it is. It has ripped open the throats of 3 miniature horses and 2 dogs. They believe it could be a large type cat that is on the prowl. And let's face it, there are people all over the place who have exotic pets, and when they realize that they're not cute little cuddly babies anymore, sometimes they do the stupidest thing and they just let them go into the wild. So it could be a tiger, it could be a black panther, or a black cougar, or a regular cougar, a lion. They don't know. What they do know is that the Monroe County Sheriff Dale Ford does believe that there is a large big cat prowling around, and they just cannot find it. So they are telling the citizens there to watch out for their pets, their livestock, and even small children around, because this thing's leaving absolutely no clue on where it could be. There's very few prints. They do know that it is very predatory. They do know that it is in the area. And that's kind of scary, especially when you have kids. I know when, I moved up here, one of my first friends that moved up here, Len, or that lived up here, Len, he said to me, he goes, with your little guy, he goes, do me a favor, whatever you do not leave him alone. Do not leave him alone in your backyard. Do not leave him alone on your patio. Because about 5-6 years ago, there was a youngster in this area who was plucked off his patio by a black bear, a hungry black bear. And by the time the mother was able to wrestle her child back out of the bear's mouth, the bear had already crushed the boy's skull and the boy died instantly. So this is a very serious thing when you have these little or these big animals, these wild animals in messing with the public. So you got to be careful with that. You really do. So child safety is first. Child safety is first. I realize in some rural areas like ours, they sit there and when people yell, bear, they put on Facebook groups, a bear in the area. Call conservation. There's a big group of people out here that say, well, you kind of live in the area. This is where you moved. This is what it's all about, living in the wilderness. But you still got to be careful. That's why I have big dogs. Hopefully they're able to scare away any animal, except for the cougar that was in my backyard a week and a bit ago. That was kind of freaky. Freaky! Nonetheless, it's been a good day. All your news can be found at spacedoutradio.com. Just click on the news tab, and boom, you're right there. Captain Shirk has A bunch of good stories up there. And we'll get Ola back on the show on Monday while we go to the thought of the Dave. I know Marty's loving this song. Are you, Marty? On Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we post a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages. Then we read your responses on the air, because we love the audience participation around here. And the more we can include you, the better. So today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. What's the best UFO crash site story you've heard? Tell me about it. It's amazing. And I always get a good laugh at this. I shake my head. Because I always put in there, explain. Tell me about it. And it's amazing how many people give you this short answer. Like 1 word or 2 words. It's like, how can I use that? I can't use that. But nonetheless, we do have some good ones out there today. We are going to go to Goddess Michelle on Twitter. She says, well, of course my favorite is Shag Harbor in Nova Scotia. It is interesting to me. I think 5 teenagers seen it, 2 RCMP seen and called it in, and 3 fishing boats reported it. That's over 20 people in a population of under 400 at the time. Creepy stuff happens here. Spaced Out Radio. Creepy stuff. Mike also agrees that Shag Harbor incident was pretty good. He goes, though I'm not convinced it was an alien crash, just aliens curious about shagging. Oh, you went there. You went there. Daniel states, the remains of a UFO crash reported on the moon by astronauts. That would be the Apollo 20. That allegedly did not happen. And then he follows up and says, it's very intriguing if it's true. Darn rights it is. That's where the Mona Lisa, we just talked with Ola Phillips about that a couple weeks ago. Yeah, the Mona Lisa. There is a video on that on YouTube. Whether or not it is real or not, it looks pretty eerie. Looks pretty eerie. When I watch that, I always think, oh my gosh, she's going to wake up. She never does, but every time, it just trips me out. All right, let's move on here. So we scroll down. William says, I'd have to say my favorite is probably Aurora, Texas. Just a great story. The body being buried during the time of some of the strange airship sightings. An oldie, but a goodie. Joe. Well, this is more. He goes, this compliment. I'll read this one out. Thanks, Joe. I forgot to respond to you, Joe, but I will read this out. He goes, Dave, I wanted to say I just admire how you keep your composure when you interview some guests and just don't come out and say to them, are you nuts? Thank goodness you are not face-to-face with them, because I don't know even if you could conceal your disbelief at times. I'm not going to lie. There's a few times I do shake my head, Joe. A few times I do shake my head. But in the end, it's not my job as a journalist to say whether or not I believe them. That's for you, the audience, to decide. Back to the thought of the Dave. Heroin. Aliens with a hangover? Could be. Or they stole Mom's spacecraft and crashed it into Earth because they don't know how to drive. Kat says, I actually heard years ago that there was a crashed UFO under the White House. I don't think so on that one. Russell, Max, Nebraska, 1884. UFO threw off brass cogs used for early railroad technology. I'd never heard that one. That's a good one. Lisa says, the Langenberg, Saskatchewan UFO crash September 1st, 1974 was interesting. Tim, Kingman, Arizona, 1954. Harry Drew has a great book about it, 10 years investigating it. John believes it's the Aztec crash. Adnome says, this one time there was a crater left by a chili bean-eating, farting gnome, and poof, he was gone. UFO or GFO? Adnome always has to get in a gnome reference there. Adnome, I am one with the gnomes now. I am one with the gnomes. Once again, you can find all the news by going to spacedoutradio.com, clicking on the news section, or because Olaf Phillips has taken the night off, we will give Olaf the night off because he deserves it. But we will say that you can also read up on his great website, paranoiamagazine.com. I highly suggest you check it out. He's got some very, very interesting stories happening there. Very interesting stories. So you definitely want to check that out. And, of course, the news is always changing. SpacedOutRadio.com is the place to go. We got the new store coming up here very, very soon. This weekend, while I am off to find my Zen, my Chi, and maybe a few Bigfoot tracks in the snow in the forest, Tessa Nicole Thomas will take over SOR headquarters for Spaced Out Weekend, both Saturday and Sunday night. Now, she still runs off the old time. She goes right at 9 o'clock Pacific, midnight Eastern, for 3 hours of entertainment over the 2-day weekend. So we have you covered here 7 days a week at spacedoutradio.com. You want to make sure you check it on out. I want to say a big thank you to Richard Lennie for coming into the show tonight and hanging out with us. Love hearing about UK UFO stories. 30 years in the biz, Richard Lennie. Thank you so much. Check him out on YouTube. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother Is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thank you to everyone who's listening at home, in your cars, at work, wherever you may have been this week. And a big thank you to everybody on Spreaker for an awesome week as well. The Veterans Club, led by number 1, Bill Cardwell, and that ugly password. You guys were awesome this week. Thank you so much for your comments, your questions. Everybody on Revolution Radio, your chat room, you were great as well. And, of course, the Snarkmeisters at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. You were fantastic. Thanks for sharing the show. Thanks for doing your part to make us bigger and better every single night. Because together, my friends, we own the night. I will talk to you on Monday. You guys all have a great weekend. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a great weekend. Good night.